Oh. All right, you guys, it's Maisha. I am here. I'm going to go live here in about 2 minutes. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes and see if anybody is going to join me. Okay. Sorry, you do this every time I do this. Can you please leave? No. Thank you. Hey, thank you guys for joining. I'm getting ready to go live here in a minute. I'm sorry. I have a little one here on spring break, so I'm trying to make sure he doesn't drink a bottle of syrup. The joys of entrepreneurship and parenting. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Just give me 1 second. Hi. I'm gonna get up. Okay, let's turn the heat on. Every time I go live. Every time. You can wait till the Thank you. Got the heat on, Okay. So I'm super excited to do this. I have not done a live in so long. So right now I am live on Instagram. I am live on Facebook. So this is going to be really exciting. There is a Check Your Privilege Facebook community. So some folks are sitting there like, oh, look at her kitchen. And you guys are watching me in my kitchen. So thanks for tuning in. Super excited that you're here. Today I want to talk about getting it wrong. So many of us don't show up in our life and don't show up in anti-racism work because we're all afraid of getting this work wrong. And so I got some outlines for us to kind of just talk through, and you guys are free to ask me some questions, you know, because that's what this work is about. So I'll wait 1 more minute and then I will get started. Hey, Rachel, are you still here? You're in a different country right now. Miss Rotherham. Where are you from, Miss Rotherham? And a creamy Nadia. Can I call you Nadia? Where are you guys from? Leave me a couple comments. All right. So quiet. Well, it's been a minute, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Colorado. Oh, I want to come to Denver. Awesome. Awesome. I can come to Denver, come visit, and do Check Your Privilege in Denver. Just kidding. How's the weather right now? I'm in Oakland, so it's overcast, but I can't complain, especially if it's snowing somewhere. Couple more seconds. Hey, Facebook family. If you're watching the replay either on Facebook or Instagram, go ahead and put hashtag replay. Shan, you are in San Diego, and Nadia, you are Tunisian and half Belgian, but you're in Belgium. Thank you for joining me today. I know snow would not be fun. I used to live in Chicago, so I know that snow feeling. All right, guys, let me go ahead and get started, okay? So let's talk about getting it wrong in anti-racism work. Oftentimes I find that folks that come to my Check Your Privilege workshops, people in the community, everybody is afraid to get it wrong. If you guys see my eyes move, I'm looking on Facebook and I'm looking at you on Instagram. So don't mind it if you're like, what is she doing? You're scared to say the wrong thing because you want to avoid causing more harm or fucking it up when participating in POC-led anti-racist spaces. Let me say that again. You're scared to say the wrong thing because you want to avoid causing more harm, which is true, or fucking it up, putting your foot in your mouth when participating in POC, person of color, Black, brown, indigenous people of color led anti-racism spaces. So I don't want to speak for all POC anti-racism educators, but I want you to know part of doing this work, I want you guys to listen and learn. I want you to take a step back. I want you to center us. I don't want you to ask your Black and brown friends, Black, brown, and indigenous friends about the work or how you should do the work. And many of us don't want to do the labor for you. And some of those guidelines and rules that you hear some of us say, you're just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't ask for help. I can't lean into like people of color and ask them what to do. So what should I do? And instead of maybe reaching out for more clarity, you just silence yourself out of fear of just not doing the right thing. And for me and a couple of other anti-racism educators of color that I know, many of us do this labor because we want to, and so we don't mind giving feedback on if you think you're doing something wrong. For me, I'm speaking for me now, I actually take joy in doing this work. For me, it is a form of speaking up for my ancestors, both living and dead, who one, weren't able to do the work or speak their truth, or two, are living in, working in spaces where they are not allowed to even, sorry, I got distracted by the comments. That my ancestors, both living and dead, were not even allowed to say how they felt when it came to anti-racism. Hey, all my friends are here. Just kidding, guys. So why are you afraid of getting it wrong? I will say this, Nadia, I'll send you the replay. If you DM me your email, I'll send you the replay. Why are you afraid of getting it wrong? Well, when you begin your anti-racism journey, it's easy to get caught up in your head. Like, you get all the content, you over-intellectualize it to the point where you don't know which way to move through the world, right? You don't know, like, okay, I did this workshop, I got all this great material, so what do I do next, and who do I talk to? So it's the over-intellectualization of the content that's rooted in patriarchy, or what I like to call white supremacist racism, that stops you from saying what you need to, like, from doing something, right? And let's remember this, friends, that we cannot unlearn hundreds of years of white supremacy racism in a lifetime. Like, it's been inherited it, but we can only end it when we practice it. And in practicing it, we're gonna get it wrong. And that fear of getting it wrong is gonna get in the way of us trying to do any of this work. Thanks for the hearts, guys. You know, we've learned in this white supremacist racist world that we need to be perfect and strive to be the best and strive to get it right, to have it all figured out. Oh, yeah, this is good. Dr. Daniel Weiner, he is a psychologist over at Harvard. He has this research, and this research says that we fear these embarrassing moments, right? Because they are a miscommunication between our conscious brain and our subconscious brain, trying to process how to do this work right, or how to say the right thing. So, like, consciously, you're doing this work with POC-led anti-racism educators, and you're engaged in it, but you're just kind of like, oh, I want to say something, I want to ask a question, but what if I say something that's offensive? What if my comment causes more harm, right? So it's our subconscious and conscious minds that are so overwhelmed with what's happening that we can't even just pull out the right information to get to what it is that our intention is trying to get to. Like, what is it that we're trying to learn? So then we start running through, what's the worst possible thing I can say to this Black woman, this Latina woman that's leading this anti-racism work? So instead of focusing on just saying what you need to say out of fear of saying the wrong thing, your mind starts to process and overthink and overanalyze. Well, what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if I I don't know, you just start overthinking, right? You start overprocessing, and then you begin to scan for unwelcoming thoughts. At that point in the game, once you start over-intellectualizing and overanalyze what you should say to a POC in their led space, you can just forget it. Because our conscious minds then become so stressed out with this desire not to get it wrong that you don't even want to do the work anymore. You're ready to give up, right? And, even though your conscious mind is trying to do the right thing, the unconscious mind is always looking for the worst. And the unconscious mind will always try to protect you no matter what you're doing, whether it's anti-racism work, whether it's work in the community around anti-racism. That subconscious mind, that unconscious mind is always going to try to protect you from saying what's right, from trying to say what's right. So what do we do, you guys? How do we kind of move beyond this fear? I've only got one strategy for this, and it's the most basic strategy, and I'm sure you've heard it. The worst thing that you can do is to feel the fear and do it anyway. Say the thing. Don't let the thing cause you to go into a mental mentally blinded because you're so worried about saying the wrong thing to someone. Because the worst that can happen is that a white person or a person of color will call you in or call you out, right? And I'm sure that if you're watching me here on Instagram, if you're watching me on Facebook, you may have already experienced that. But what can also happen is in the call in and call out, you'll start to like say, oh, I won't say anything again. No, you have to keep making the mistakes, because the more you make the mistakes on your anti-racism journey, the more you're open to making the mistakes, the more you won't even fear saying or doing the wrong thing, because you're doing something, and doing something is better than doing nothing at all. Some of you don't want to say the wrong thing, don't want to move beyond the sphere because you don't want to be embarrassed when it happens to you. So let's talk about embarrassment. Black, brown, and indigenous people of color have been embarrassed since we were marched down public streets like chattel cattle for sale when we were slaves and being sold off to auction. That's how long we've been embarrassed. We've been embarrassed since we were beaten into submission for speaking our truth and being put into prisons now to try to make a living for our families for selling weed. Black and brown folks living in today's world, both past and present, have always been embarrassed. So the embarrassment of you saying it wrong is not as extreme as the embarrassment that my ancestors felt when they did it wrong, right? When they said no to the master, when they were marched down the streets because they didn't have a choice, right? So the embarrassment, the backlash that you might fear of like not getting this work right, it's nothing compared to what ancestors had to go through. You know, you just have to do it. You just have to do the work. You just have to say the wrong thing, you know? If you say the wrong thing, you can grow. And that's what we want you to do. I want you to grow. You know, Dr. Maya Angelou says that once you know better, you can do better. So you say the wrong thing on this anti-racism journey, and then you get called in and called out. And once you get called in and called out, you tell yourself, I know better, so I do better. And you keep engaging in the conversation, and you don't give up, and you keep doing the work, right? Let's see, Miss Rotherham. I never know what to do or say. I just smile, say hi if it's appropriate, have conversation. I am a believer in loving people. Okay, when you say, Miss Rotherham, you never know what to do or say, do you mean in terms of conversations on power, privilege, and racism? Like if there's like a dialogue that you're not too sure that you agree or disagree with? Would love to know more about that. I do have a challenge for you guys too after today's live stream to kind of help guide you along with getting this work wrong. Does anybody else have a question here for me? Okay, I'm gonna wait for her to give me some feedback. So the one thing that can help you guys move beyond the fear is a reflection prompt. This is something that we do often in the Co-Conspirators Lounge. That is the lounge that we have where I work with a group of white folks, white women, to keep them accountable to doing their work. And so the journal prompt is you can self-reflect on, when did you learn that you couldn't do things wrong? Where did you learn that from? And how do you think that variation of perfection is affecting you on your anti-racism journey? I'm gonna say it one more time. When did you learn that you couldn't do things wrong, that you had to be perfect, basically? And how do you think that that learned behavior is affecting you right now on your anti-racism journey? And feel free to come back in the DMs and ask the question, for me to ask the question again. And then when you answer the question for further accountability, you can use the hashtag Get It Wrong CYP. Again, Get It Wrong CIP with the hashtag so that we can see that you're actually reflecting on this. Oh, I have more friends. Okay. Wow. All right. So again, you guys have to remember, like, your subconscious and conscious brain are always fighting when it comes to learning something new and digesting content and then making a choice into doing something. But you have to feel the fear in this work and do it anyway. Again, the worst things that can happen is a call in and call out. But as Dr. Maya Angelou says, that when you learn better, you do better. And that call in or call out will actually help inspire you to do better. So you have to keep making the mistakes in anti-racism work, or else why are you doing this work? One thing that can hinder moving forward for me sometimes is when two POC have differing views on the same subject, and then it seems both up to me to decide what to believe and inappropriate to do so. Oh yeah, that's challenging. I'm gonna read her question again, you guys. Shannon says that one thing that hinders her moving forward is sometimes when two POC have differing views on the subject, and then it seems both are up to me to decide what to believe and inappropriate to do so. Does anybody else have that? See that too? Like, can you just give me a heart? Like if I say something, and I'm not going to say any names of any other anti-racism educators or guides. That's the one thing that I will ask you not to do when we interact together. We'll not say names, but this question is okay. So sometimes educators, just like other general education teachers, right, in the public school system, will have differing opinions on the same content. And then it becomes hard, as Shannon's saying, for her to decipher, like, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and how to get it wrong and how not to get it wrong. You know, as the adult, have a choice to choose which instructor resonates with you, who you want to follow, whose content most resonates with your personal belief. And that might take some more self-work. Like, okay, I know that this is what this educator stands for. I know that this is what the other educator stands for. Who resonates with me? Like, who do I feel in my heart so that I can move forward and do my work? Does that make sense? I know it's hard, but it's almost like having two sixth grade English teachers teaching you content two different ways. And then your peers who are your friends are like, oh my God, I love Miss X because her class is so easy and she's so relatable. And then your other friend is like, I love Miss X because she's so intellectual and she brings the content to me this way. And I can see how there's an internal conflict of like, who do I follow and which way to go? But you have to probably quiet yourself enough to be like, okay, this instructor resonates more with me and where I'm headed on my anti-racism journey. So you kind of have to make that internal choice. So yeah, choose who works for you. I mean, you can love 10,000 educators, right? And love all of their content. But the one educator that resonates with you in your spirit, like in your heart center, that's probably the one whose guidance that you're probably likely to follow. So yeah. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for being here. I'm going to give this challenge, this journal reflection one more time. If I have time today, I'll try to put it in my stories. But you want to ask yourself and reflect on, when did you learn that you couldn't do things wrong? And how do you think it's affecting you on your anti-racism journey, like this struggle to be perfect? You can use the hashtag #GetItWrong_CYP, and then I'll have the other co-conspirators come out for further accountability. Shannon says, but then you still may be called out. So I guess just being more confident. Yeah, be more confident in it. The more you get called out, it's like a muscle. It's just like a muscle. And then you have to just know, like, what are the educators' guidelines for me being in their space? But yeah, you will get called out more probably, but you just have to be confident, like, well, I'm still fucking up, because you're in this journey, you always will mess up. We all do. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me for this few minutes and talking about getting it wrong. You are also welcome to join us in the Co-Conspirators Lounge. It's $25 a month. We have a book club. We do lunch and learn. We have a group accountability call where we talk about co-conspire action. The link is in my bio if you want more information on that. Enjoy the replay. If you have more questions, you can email Maisha at maishat.com again, or just hit me up in the DMs. And then tune in next week, you guys, because next week I have something exciting happening in this space. And so our next week's live will be sent out on Friday here on Instagram or on Facebook. So see you guys later. Oh, Would you mind explaining your question a little bit? Shannon, go ahead and send me a message in the DMs. I actually have to go and take care of some other things. But yeah, I'll send it. I'll put it over there. Bye, guys.